First of all, it's an honor to be here. It's my first code being in person. And first time talking about code smells in Elixir at a code being. It's a pleasure to be here. But I'm still in my vacation mode. So I'm from Brazil. I'm Elaine. I'm from Brazil. I'm more specifically from São Paulo. And last weekend we have a 30-day music festival, and I traveled direct from that to Berlin. So I'm sorry if I say something wrong. It's because of the time zone difference, cold weather. But just kidding. Like my default mode is thinking all about computer programming. I've been working with computer development for over 14 years. And I work already with PHP, Java, JavaScript, a little bit of C++, 7 years of with Ruby, and more recently 4 years with Elixir in production. Currently, I'm a senior software engineer at the Rail. And I also like to mention my background, my academic background in computer engineering and computer science, because whenever I can, I try to mix this vision, like this academic vision, with my daily work and share it into the talks. You will see a bit of it. Don't be worried about the slides. They are already available. I usually move them fast, so don't be worried about trying to make pictures. I will share the link again in the end. So code smells. Who here are familiar with the term? Oh, nice. But just to put everyone on the same page, this is one of my favorite definitions. What they are. Code smells are suboptimal design choice that can degrade different aspects of code quality. Example, understandability, changeability. They usually are indicators of the software design flaws that could potentially affect software maintenance. So we are talking about the impact of software evolvability. In other words, like we are talking about the ability of software to undergo changes and adaptations easily and efficiently over time. Code smells has this same logic as design patterns having a name to make everyone on the same page about that. Common ones are like duplicated code, mysterious names when we have some random variable that is not super helpful. And to fix them, we usually do the simple technique known as refactoring. And sometimes refactoring may look like this, just spreading the mess around, you're doing huge changes. But this is actually a controlled technique to improve the design of your existing code base. And the goal is to do small behavior changes, so behavior-preserving transformations. So we are not changing the behavior of the code, we are doing small changes. This is kind of the goal. And similar to the code smells, we have also names for these techniques. Example, when we have a bad name, like mysterious name, we apply the renaming of a variable. The process is usually like this. We identify the code smell, decide if it's time to fix it or not, apply the refactor, don't forget to run the test, and move into the next one. And keep it going because code smells are just appearing. A little bit about the history. They became popular because of this book, named Refactoring, kind of old book. And the focus of that book was more for object-oriented programming. But this is mean that we don't have smells in functional programming languages. We actually do. Even like, I think 18 years later, they released a new version showing the code smells in both paradigms and I think in other ones. And if we look at like some papers about Elaine Watanabe, we have some code smells like duplication code and how to fix them, how to automate those fixes. And in Elixir, it's a new language, do we have code smells for that? And we do. We have ongoing research about that. We as a community, there is this research project led by Professors Lucas Veggi and Professor Marcos Valente. Both of them are from Minas Gerais, Brazil. And they start with this great literature review. I was one of the data source analyzed by that work. This talk is in Portuguese, so sorry. And it's like a long version of the traditional one. And this is like the result of this investigation about codesmells specifically. And it involved the community, not only like the online resources, but like requesting feedbacks and running surveys from Elixir forum, Slack, Telegram, Twitter, and other social media. And then the results are mapped in the GitHub. We've separated like in two categories: the traditional ones, same ones as the that book, and the new ones, that is the Elixir-specific code smells. The link is here. And the cool part is it was involving engineers all over the world, including from Brazil. And here, this is part I'll try to show a couple of those smells in 20 minutes or less. And I will start with the traditional ones, but this is like not showing all, just some examples. The classic one is like duplicated code. And when we see here, like, we see this exactly same command, like exactly the same logic. And this is also representing a duplicated business rule. It represents some subscription. There are some IDs to identify those subscription types. But we may see some conditions everywhere, but we are talking about Elixir, we are talking about pattern matching. So maybe pattern matching should not have the same issues, and we just like hidden sometimes that complexity, like those conditionals. In this example, after using pattern match, we are having the same issue. We are having the duplicated business rule. And applying one example of a refactoring here, there's many of them, but like trying to centralize in the logic and trying to have like all the business rule in one single place. I move it to another module, and I try to, like, if we have some new subscription, it's back. If we have some new subscriptions, we just need to add a new line instead of spreading the changes all over the files. So instead of having this pattern matching, we'll have like delegating to the structure, and like those clients modules will not be worried about what type of subscription. It will be transparent for them. The other example is about like long parameter list. When we have like those functions that are increasing the number of arguments, and sometimes they are not super meaningful. Like if we are using this status active admin, they are booleans like true or false, and maybe we will not know what they are mean. So one way of doing a refactoring here, and we can also we can try to use like a map or using a struct, trying to add some validations, or like trying to make it clear the association between the arguments and the values, and it will be like more easy to add new attributes if you want. Not exactly the ideal code, but just examples. And this is like I think the coolest part about the Elixir-specific code smells. This is like the classic one when we are learning Elixir from other languages like Ruby. This is example, like this code smells is when we are trying to use exceptions for control flow. Oh, sorry. And example here, this function is raising an exception, and if the client wants to use that, like trying to say, okay, this is the happy path, this is when this is on happy path, it will need to handle this generic exception to say, okay, this is crashed, let's see how to handle this on happy path. This is not like the traditional way of doing those things in Elixir, so it is documenting and it is proposing a refactoring using the error monad. So we are having these tuples, okay, error, and it will help us to handle those errors and knowing better, like, okay, we are actually calling this function, and we have these two paths. for me, this is more clear after getting used to the syntax and to like pattern matchings in other flows in Elixir. The second one is about like complex extractions in clause, in function clause. Was one that got me surprised after working 4 years with Elixir when I was reading that catalog. Example here, we have this function with 2 clauses, and when we see like the name is just extracting the value to use later, like to use in the print, like to build the string, and the actual guard clause is the age when we are like checking if it is like one match or in another. So it might be small if we start growing the number of methods we are extracting, mixing with the validations like the guards and pattern matchings. So the suggestion to fix it is avoiding that extraction of the values, using only the pattern matching and guard related variables to build those functions, and like using the extraction of values, maybe using the pattern matching side of the function, or as it is a structure, using the dot notation. It can be an option. There's a lot of others specific smells in Elixir, like Elixir-specific smells, and the cool part of it will be part of the documentation. Joseph shared me the link with that. And they are calling as anti-patterns because sometimes code smells are not so intuitive. We are more used to like design patterns, anti-patterns, and it will be available in the next release. And it will have like the similar structure as design patterns. You have a name to facilitate the communication, like to put everyone on the same page, and the description of the problem, the example, and suggestions of refactoring. And as we will see, it will have a reference for that research because this is part of research. It's a partnership between Elixir community and universities in Brazil. And this is part of this is the first part of the results of that PhD research. This is the second part of that research. It is about building the catalog of refactorings, same as the refactoring of code smells from that book. We have the smell, we have the list of the refactor names. So they starting this work now, and they are asking again for community help. I'm here just to help sharing the word and sharing some cool links. This is the new repo, just documenting the refactorings. And this is another call to get involved to that research. So it's not only open issues during the discussions on GitHub, but also sharing the links, starting the repos to bring visibility for the other communities, like in the GitHub. Suggest improvements, not only in the refactoring, but also in the code smell. And maybe join the next survey. This is an important part of that research. It was built with the community support, like Elixir community supporting that research, and it is returned to the community again as part of the documentation. And this is the goal for the Elixir refactors. So when I was thinking about, okay, we already have the code smells refactoring in progress, and what else we can think about, like how we can improve Elixir code, like designing of Elixir code. Maybe we can improve in tooling. We may see like not all code smells are detectable by automating tools. I was testing the Predo for a couple of them, and that research also tested. It was not able to identify all the code smells, but we know like we can create custom rules, but maybe this is an opportunity to open up PR. And there's also an interesting point about the types of code smells. A couple of them may be intuitive, like maybe easily to identify via automation tool, but other smells may depend on the context and the user, the developer experience, the knowledge about the system. And this is an interesting research about that, like maybe even a person like is specialized in that area, like software engineering, wasn't able to identify a couple of smells in a specific system compared to like a senior engineer in that team. So maybe AI may help us. ChatGPT that can systems that can help tracking the context and identify like solutions. Then other things that we can improve, like metrics. The cyclomatic complexity is an interesting one when we see like is a way of measuring complex code, but it's when I tested it was not working well with Gradle. It was not identifying like the multiple clauses as I was showing, like the version with if else and the version with like the multiple clause. Not sure if it was a configuration, but maybe something that we can discuss as a community. Other metrics, like we have this ABC software metrics for object-oriented programming, but maybe they are not representing well functional programming. Maybe this is another, we can find another metric. So we are almost there. We are already talking about the history, comparing some traditional and Elixir-specific code smells, talking about the code smells impact over time, and some about the refactoring techniques. One thing to keep in mind, when we talk about code smells, we are not talking about bugs. The code is not wrong, like it is solving the issue it is expecting to solve, but not necessarily like with the best design, with the best code structure. We are talking about like these potential design flaws, and we are talking about that thinking in the software maintenance and evolvability, like how we can add new features over the time. And one thing too that those code smells can help to improve is like improving understandability and changeability of the system. It is important if you would like to scale your team or if you wish to take some time off. Like it can help you to prevent some silos. Like the goal is to make everyone be able to contribute and have new developers join your team and changing that context and moving forward. This is from a book called Programmer's Brain, one of my favorite books. That is not necessarily technical. It's about saying most of our time as developers, as programmers, we spend understanding code, then write. And for me, over all these 14 years is true. And it's hard to communicate via code. It can help like having automated testing and to help to support your refactorings. Look for like test coverage, test pyramid. And another thing to keep in mind, like, okay, we have the code smells, we know how to fix them, but not necessarily you need to fix all of them. And please don't fix all of them in the same PR. This is an interesting thing, like, is from Sandmax. Sometimes duplication is much better than the wrong abstraction. And like, maybe sometimes we think something should work like in a way, and we discover later it will not. What else? Refactoring is not revolution. It's not changing everything at once. It's about these accumulative improvements and thinking about the code design. Like we need to think over time how your software will survive. When in the beginning, it's fine to have code smells like technical debt, and it will allow you to add more features initially. But if we never think about that, we never think about like this design payoff line. In the future, you may have issues like, okay, this code is impossible to change. There's so many bugs. There's so complex. And when we have a good design, we can have this healthier way of change it. Not necessarily the faster one initially, but it will pay over time. And don't need to be like all at once. And then you can do this in small improvements. And last thing, when we are talking about good design, we are talking about the developer productivity and the ways of how to evolve your product, how to have a better, improve the quality of your end product. And it's also about self-improvement. It's a good way of improving your skills as programmer. Even when you are senior, you can let your juniors learn more about that. Like it can be a way of mentoring. And one last thing, all this is just me thinking about legacy code in Elixir. We are always talking about let's adopting Elixir, how we can expand in our system, but how we are handled like our legacy, like the code we are like sharing with the others. And I'm curious about like how's your code base in Elixir? Are they like easy to change? And that's all. Please don't forget to join the survey about the catalog of refactorings. Thank you.
One question, because we are short in time.
Obrigado. My question is, one pattern that I see a lot, and I think is a code smell, or maybe another pattern. You go developing your application in several modules, and in a certain point, you have to join this thing, you have to plumber the application. And I usually see this very big with blocks, which is a very Elixir-specific thing. And then it kind of becomes like all these function calls and like a huge try-catch in the end, right? It feels like that. Have you seen that? It's part of your catalog, and is there any recommendation for this kind of situation?
Yes. I didn't have time to add that, but there's it. I don't remember the exact name, but it is mapped in that catalog. It will be mapped in, I think, the documentation, and the recommendation is like instead of having this huge list of unhappy randomly exception like errors, the goal is like to encapsulate it in each call, and like not having this huge else like try catch behavior. I recommend to check the link because it's helpful. That's all.
All right, let's thank Elaine again.